Imagine, for a moment, a rocket being launched into space. It doesn't ascend by chance, nor without sacrifices. Every part of its structure is essential in the beginning, but as it climbs higher, something inevitable happens: parts are discarded. Without this, it could never reach its destination. This process isn't easy, but it's necessary. What is left behind served its purpose, but it can no longer be carried. This is your journey. You haven't just grown, you've ascended. In this process, you've left parts of your life, people, places, and memories in the past. Not out of lack of love, but because their weight would make it impossible to fulfill the mission for which you were chosen. But as you broke through atmospheres and found a freedom few can even imagine, those who remained on the ground look up and desperately call out to you. They miss you, they weep for your absence, as if something vital had been torn from their lives. And yet, something within you remains at peace, almost indifferent. Why don't you miss them? The answer is not simple, because it is profoundly uncomfortable. They are attached to who you were, while you are living as who you were born to be. And the most intriguing part of all is that the emptiness they feel is not the same as yours. It might seem cold, but there's a deep spiritual truth here. The calling that lifted you up also freed you from the need to look back. You don't feel nostalgic because you know that returning would be a betrayal of the greater purpose you were destined for. But they don't understand that. To them, your departure is a painful enigma, an absence that echoes. To you, it's the fulfillment of an inevitable journey. Does this make you selfish? Or is this the essence of what it means to be a chosen one? Throughout this video, we will explore the heart of this dynamic. Why do so many miss you so intensely, while you move forward without looking back? We will uncover the mysteries of your ascension, what it means, and why this distance is more than emotional, it's spiritual. We'll understand how true growth demands deep cuts and why not everyone can keep up with what you were called to accomplish. You are like the rocket, breaking barriers, going where few dare to imagine. Not because you chose to abandon, but because the gravity of the past can no longer hold you. The question we must answer is not why you don't miss them, but rather, what will you do now that you are finally free? There is a mysterious force that drives those who are chosen. It's not something that can be measured or taught. It's like an invisible current that silently pulls them away from what is familiar and leads them into uncharted territories. This force not only separates them from the people and places of their past, but also places them in direct confrontation with their own internal limitations. To ascend means to face what was once avoided. It means breaking not only external ties but also the internal chains that kept them grounded. It's this power, a blend of courage and surrender, that sustains the chosen ones as everything around them seems to crumble. As you rise, you realize that not everyone was made to accompany you on this journey. It's as if an invisible barrier separates your new reality from theirs. For those left behind, your absence is an open wound, a mystery that cannot be solved. They try to pull you back with words, gestures, memories. But you feel it. What was once familiar now feels distant, like an echo in a space you no longer occupy. This doesn't mean you've become cold or insensitive, but rather that your soul has found a space where the past can no longer touch. Ascension is a solitary movement, and those who cannot rise with you often become melancholic spectators, stuck in an outdated version of who you were. There is something deeply uncomfortable about realizing that your presence was not only missed but also the emotional foundation for others. You were the pillar, the support, the solace. But the truth is, by ascending, you revealed their own fragilities. They don't just miss you, they miss what you provided, a reflection of strength, purpose, and light. When you step away, it's as if a shadow takes your place. They feel helpless because your departure forces them to confront the void that was always there but masked by your energy. You were their anchor, but you can no longer be. The gravity that once kept you connected is now the weight you had to leave behind. As you move beyond old connections, something unexpected happens. The past resists. It manifests as memories, people reappearing, invitations to revisit places or situations you've already outgrown. It's as if a counterforce tries to pull you back into the comfort zone you left behind. This resistance is a test. It asks, are you truly committed to the new path, or are you still willing to negotiate with the old? This is the moment where many hesitate, but the chosen ones know that true growth demands firmness. There is no way to ascend without a clear rejection of what no longer serves. But how can you explain this to those who don't understand the calling? How do you put into words what it means to be driven by divine forces to break patterns, abandon comfort zones, and transcend what was once known? For those still bound to the ground, your departure feels like abandonment. For you, it's survival. The gravity of old connections isn't just emotional, it's energetic. You feel, in every fiber of your being, that you cannot carry everything and everyone with you. This isn't an act of selfishness but of loyalty to the greater purpose that pulses within you. And no matter how hard they try, their energy no longer resonates with yours. Your frequencies no longer align, like two notes that can't form a melody. The chosen ones are destined for solitary journeys, especially in the early stages of their ascension. Not because isolation is a choice, but because the transition demands space. Like a tree that needs time to root in new soil, you had to leave the old ground behind. Yet, as you grow, they remain still, waiting for a return that will never come. This isn't cruelty but a natural cycle. There are moments when growth demands distance, where separation is the only way to preserve what is sacred within you. And while this may be painful for those who miss you, it is the greatest act of love you could offer yourself. Have you ever wondered why you don't feel nostalgia? It's not because the memories have lost their value or because affection has faded. It's because the energy that once connected you to these people and places has simply changed. There's no longer a channel through which that nostalgia can flow. You haven't become incapable of love. Instead, you've discovered a new way of loving, a love expressed through acceptance of separation and the courage to move forward. While they cling to what was, you open yourself to what will be. And in this movement, you find a freedom that cannot be explained, only lived. With ascension comes immense freedom, but it's not devoid of responsibility. As you free yourself from the bonds that once held you, you discover that every choice, every step, carries a greater weight. It's as if the universe has entrusted you with an even more significant role. Your freedom isn't for yourself, it's to serve a greater purpose. This may seem overwhelming, but it's also deeply fulfilling. Every decision you make in this elevated state is a declaration to the world: I am here to fulfill something greater. And this transforms not only your life but the lives of everyone who crosses your path. There's an uncomfortable truth that few understand. As you move away, you're not just changing. You're aligning with a new level of existence that redefines everything around you. The bonds that once seemed unbreakable begin to weaken, not for lack of effort but because the vibrational frequency that once sustained them is no longer the same. It's like trying to tune an old radio station on new equipment, the waves simply don't align. And as you discover the power of your new vibration, those who remain on the old frequency struggle to understand why they can no longer reach you. This incompatibility isn't anyone's fault but a natural consequence of the spiritual awakening you're experiencing. Looking back, you might realize that you were always different, even before your ascension journey began. But back then, your light seemed more compatible with those around you. Perhaps you tried to fit in, dim your intensity, or even accept less than you deserve to maintain balance. Yet true ascension doesn't allow for concessions. It's like fire burning away impurities to reveal pure gold. You realize that continuing to carry unnecessary emotional and energetic weights was an act of self-sabotage. Thus, what once felt familiar became foreign. Not because you've changed too much, but because others chose not to change. The choice to remain on the same frequency was theirs. Your choice was to ascend. And then comes the paradox. Those who miss you don't understand that what they truly long for isn't your return, but the strength your presence represented. When they were near you, they felt inspired, secure, and even caught a glimpse of something greater. But that energy can no longer be shared in the same way. Your journey now requires you to preserve your strength for the greater mission ahead. The paradox of ascension is this: the more you grow, the lonelier you become, at least until you find those who vibrate at the same height. This is the cycle of the chosen ones. It's the pain of losing and the blessing of discovering something infinitely greater. Ascension is not just an external journey but an internal process of renewal and discovery. You begin to realize that the connections left behind were, in many cases, based on versions of yourself that no longer exist. Perhaps they served a purpose for a time, but now they've become a prison. Like a bird that cannot fly while carrying chains, you had to break those ties to rise. This doesn't diminish the value of what was lived, but puts into perspective the necessity of releasing what no longer serves. And this, for those who remained, is often incomprehensible. To them, your departure feels like abandonment. To you, it's a matter of survival. Before we continue, if you've always felt different, with a special sensitivity or drawn to greater missions, our ebook is a valuable resource for you. It offers practical insights to recognize your true mission as a chosen one and overcome challenges of misunderstanding and isolation. By purchasing the ebook, you'll also gain immediate, exclusive access to our Discord community, a space where you can share your experiences, connect with others who understand what you're going through, and find genuine support in a welcoming environment. Check out the pinned comment below the video and claim this unique and exclusive resource now. In moments of introspection, you may have wondered if it was possible to maintain those ties while moving forward. But the answer is undoubtedly no. Energy does not lie. Connections based on the past begin to fray when you awaken to a new level of consciousness. It's like wearing clothes that no longer fit. No matter how much you try to adjust them, they never feel the same. This is the price of ascension. And yet, it is also its greatest gift. By releasing what no longer serves, you open yourself to experiences, relationships, and purposes that resonate with who you truly are. It is painful but liberating. Your absence becomes a mirror for those who stayed behind. It reflects their insecurities, fears, and often their own limitations. That is why they miss you so intensely. It's not just about your physical presence, but what you represented. You were a point of stability, a reminder that something greater was possible. Now, without you, they are forced to look at themselves. Your departure challenges them to become what they always sought in you. For some, this is unbearable. For others, it marks the beginning of their own journey of growth. As you move forward, something curious happens. The longing they feel for you becomes almost an obsession. It's as if your absence creates a void impossible to fill. But in truth, what they really miss is not you, but how your energy made them feel. Your presence was like a beacon in the darkness, a constant reminder that something greater was possible. Now that you're gone, they must confront the emptiness that was always there but hidden by your light. This desperate longing is less about you and more about the reflection your strength left in them. You were, to them, a point of reference, and your departure has left them without direction. However, while they remain trapped in this cycle of longing, you discover something powerful, the freedom that comes from releasing ties that no longer sustain you. It's a freedom that few can understand. For you, there is no bitterness, no regret, only acceptance. The energy that was once spent trying to maintain connections that drained your soul is now directed toward your own expansion. And in that expansion, you realize that longing has no place. It's like baggage left behind at the gate before embarking on a journey to a destination you never imagined. Not feeling nostalgic is not an act of cruelty. It's a sign that you found peace in the new space you inhabit. You feel the silence, but it doesn't bother you. It becomes a companion, a constant reminder that the initial isolation of ascension is only temporary. It creates space for something new, something that resonates deeply with who you've become. Meanwhile, others struggle to understand. To them, your lack of longing is interpreted as coldness or disinterest. But they don't see the bigger picture. They don't understand that to rise, you had to leave behind even parts of yourself. You abandoned old beliefs, former identities, and with them, inevitably, the people connected to those versions of you. The silence isn't emptiness, it's transformation. Transformation comes at a cost. To ascend, you had to abandon pieces of yourself, identities built over the years that intertwined with those around you. This creates an emotional vacuum, both for you and for them. You feel the loss of who you were, while they mourn the loss of who they believed you would always be. This is the paradox of evolution. You must let go to grow, but each goodbye leaves a mark. However, it is that mark that turns into wisdom, allowing you to walk paths that once seemed impossible. The rocket metaphor remains true. When it sheds its initial stages, there's no time to mourn what was left behind. The focus is on the destination, the mission, the purpose driving every movement. You are no different. Every relationship left behind served a purpose in your journey. But what happens when the purpose is fulfilled? You cannot carry the weight of what is no longer necessary. And while they see it as a loss, you understand it as an act of spiritual survival. The pain of separation is real, but it's also a confirmation that you are on the right path. Not everyone can rise with you, and this is something you finally accept. In the space of ascension, new connections begin to form, but they are nothing like those of the past. They are not based on expectations or emotional exchanges but on spiritual resonance. You find souls who share the same vision, the same purpose, and these connections are light, fluid, as if they had always existed. These relationships require no explanations or justifications. They are a reflection of your own transformation. And it's here that you understand that true connection is not based on time or shared history but on the energetic frequency you share. Still, there is an unexpected beauty in this process. As you ascend, even leaving so many behind, you inspire. To those who watch your journey with open eyes and receptive hearts, your ascension becomes an invitation. A reminder that they too can choose to grow if they have the courage. Not everyone will accept this call, but those who do will be guided by your light, even from afar. And this, more than any longing, is the true connection that remains. It's not a bond forced by the past but a resonance shared with the future. You don't need to look back to honor these connections. Your journey, in itself, is already a tribute. As you move forward, one truth becomes undeniable: the people who miss you don't necessarily mourn you, but the version of you that was part of their reality. It's like a static photograph, a frozen memory in time where you were accessible, predictable, and understandable. Yet your ascension shatters those expectations. You become a mystery, a distant memory that can no longer be touched. This is the pain they face, not your absence but the fact that you've grown beyond what they knew. For you, this isn't rejection. It's evolution. You've ceased to be a fixed image and become a force in constant motion, fluid and impossible to capture. But the price of this evolution is high. In the silence that accompanies your journey, you are forced to face truths you could once ignore. There are no more distractions, no comfort in the familiarity of old connections. Every step in your ascension demands introspection, courage, and a radical acceptance of who you are. And while others struggle with longing, you discover something surprising: solitude is not a punishment but an incubator. It is in isolation that you find the clarity to hear the divine voice guiding your every movement. It is in this emptiness that you rebuild yourself, not as who you were but as who you were destined to be. While they look back with longing, you look forward with determination. There is something almost paradoxical about it. To them, you've become inaccessible, but to you, this is liberation. You realize that the connections left behind were unsustainable. They belong to a level of existence you've surpassed. This doesn't make them any less important but puts each one into perspective. They were bridges, not destinations. And now, as you cross new spiritual landscapes, you recognize that not all bridges can be crossed again. Some must be left behind, crumbling under the weight of time and transformation. But as you ascend, something magical happens. You begin to attract new connections, people who vibrate at the same frequency as you. These souls share the same vision, the same purpose, and they don't see your journey as abandonment but as inspiration. They understand what it means to grow, to change, and to align with a higher calling. And for the first time, you experience the relief of connecting with those who don't require you to be something you no longer are. These new connections don't replace the old ones but bring a depth that once seemed impossible. It is here that you find true resonance, where energy flows without resistance. Your journey can be compared to that of the phoenix. There are moments when everything seems to burn, where every old tie dissolves into ashes, and you feel the weight of solitude and emptiness. But it is from these ashes that you are reborn, stronger, purer, more aligned with who you truly are. Every loss is, in fact, a new beginning. Every goodbye, an opportunity to draw closer to something more authentic. Like the phoenix, you realize that the cycle of destruction and rebirth is what keeps your essence alive and vibrant, ready to face the next heights. Looking back, you realize that longing wasn't a burden you needed to carry but a lesson in letting go. And now, in the present, you understand the true meaning of spiritual freedom. It's not the absence of ties but the presence of authentic connections, those that propel you forward rather than hold you back. The absence of longing isn't coldness but a testament that you are exactly where you're meant to be. What was left behind fulfilled its purpose, and what lies ahead carries the promise of an even grander journey. You don't feel longing because your soul is full of the present, ready for the next leap toward the infinite. Longing is an invisible thread, an energy that ties the past to the present. But when you sever these connections, longing loses its power. This doesn't mean you've erased what you lived, but that you've transformed those experiences into lessons. It's like turning the weight of lead into golden wings. What once held you back now propels you forward. Those who remain tethered to what was don't understand that your lack of longing is, in fact, proof of your transformation. You no longer need to carry the past because it has been integrated into your essence. It is a part of who you are, but it no longer defines your path. The freedom you experience is rare and often misunderstood. To those left behind, your lack of longing may seem like arrogance, a rejection of what was shared. But the truth is that in letting go, you are answering a higher calling. It isn't a denial of the past, but an acknowledgement that it can no longer coexist with the future you are building. This isn't something you explain in words, it's something felt, like the silence after a great storm. It's a peace that needs no justification, only acceptance. You've learned that not everyone will understand, and that's okay. Your journey is not for everyone. The paradox of ascension is this: the higher you rise, the clearer it becomes that true connection isn't based on physical or emotional proximity but on spiritual resonance. And it's here that you find a new kind of relationship, a connection that doesn't demand but simply exists. These new souls you attract don't need you to look back because they walk beside you, looking in the same direction. They don't miss who you were because they value who you've become. And in this exchange, you find something you thought you'd lost, a sense of belonging. Not to the past, but to a future that vibrates with the same intensity as your soul. By moving away from what was, you not only transform yourself, you create a legacy. Your courage to break patterns, to follow your calling, serves as inspiration to those who watch your journey. They may not say it out loud, but your transformation is a silent reminder that they, too, can change. This is the greatest gift you can offer the world, living so authentically that, even from a distance, your presence continues to have a profound impact. Your legacy is not built with words but with the strength of your evolution. Yet, the road here has been lonely. There's no denying it. There were nights when you questioned whether you made the right choice, whether you should have tried to maintain certain ties. But deep down, you always knew the answer. Energy doesn't lie, and when something is no longer aligned, holding on would be like rowing against the tide. And so, you let go. The longing they feel for you is not your responsibility but an opportunity for them to grow. Your absence may be the catalyst that drives them to seek something greater. You don't go back because you know your role now is to inspire from a distance, not to carry the weight of those who choose to remain grounded. And then, you understand, not feeling longing isn't insensitivity but a new way of loving. It's honoring what was lived without being bound by it. It's being grateful for what each connection brought while allowing it to remain where it belongs, in the past. You don't look back because you are fully present in the now, and the now calls you to even greater heights. Every step you take is a silent declaration: I move forward, not because I reject what was, but because I honor who I am. And in this movement, you find true freedom, the freedom to stay loyal to your purpose, even if it means leaving everything behind. You look toward the horizon and realize that the silence that once seemed empty is now full. It is filled with possibilities, new frequencies, and everything you have yet to build. The connections left behind, while important, fulfilled their purpose. They weren't the final destination but part of the process that shaped you for this journey. And in acknowledging this, you free yourself from guilt or regret. Longing is replaced with gratitude, not for the desire to return but for the understanding that every step, every goodbye, was necessary. There is no resentment, only acceptance. No sadness, only a deep respect for what was and what will be. The rocket metaphor remains alive. It doesn't ascend for itself but to fulfill a greater purpose. Your journey is not an isolated act, it is a call to inspire, to illuminate, to pave the way. Those who remain on the ground, looking to the sky, now have the opportunity to find their own strength, to seek their own heights. And this is what you understand: even in separation, there is impact. Even in distance, there is connection. Your departure is not an end, but a beginning for everyone involved. You don't feel longing because you are busy creating something new, something that may one day inspire even those who didn't understand your journey. As you move into a new cycle, you realize that the true mission of the chosen ones is not to please everyone but to remain faithful to the calling that pulses in their souls. This often means breaking ties, facing solitude, and walking paths few would dare to tread. But it also means finding a peace that transcends human understanding, a clarity that lights each step. You don't feel longing because you are exactly where you're meant to be. And those who truly resonate with your energy will find you, not because you've returned, but because they've also chosen to ascend. You are no longer who you once were, and that is the greatest proof of your transformation. Those who miss you are, in truth, missing a version of you that no longer exists. And this isn't something to mourn but to celebrate. Your evolution is a testament that growth demands courage, and courage is not always understood. But you keep going, not because it's easy but because it's necessary. The mission ahead is greater than any longing. It is the reason you were born, the purpose for which you were chosen. In the end, you realize that the freedom of not feeling longing is not an act of selfishness but the greatest expression of self-love and loyalty to your destiny. By freeing yourself from the weight of what was, you open yourself to the infinity of what can be. And as they look to the sky, you continue to rise, guided by a greater force, knowing that each step left behind was exactly what needed to happen for you to reach where you are now. And where are you? At peace, on purpose, in freedom. As you reflect on your journey, remember that not longing for the past is, in fact, a declaration that you've chosen to move forward. You're not bound to what once was, you're fully living what you're destined to be. And this is the greatest gift anyone can give themselves, the freedom to embrace the new without the chains of the old. Your mission, your light, and your courage are beacons for those watching you from afar. You haven't abandoned them, you've inspired them to seek something greater too. So, celebrate the path you've walked so far. Accept that not everyone will understand your journey, and that's okay. What matters is that you understand and keep moving forward. Every step you take fulfills a purpose that transcends human understanding. You are honoring the calling that only the chosen ones can hear, and that is the greatest expression of courage and love for your essence. If this message resonated with you, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel right now. Don't forget to activate the notification bell so you won't miss content that feeds your soul and lights your path. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it. And leave your comment below to inspire everyone. Don't miss the chance to join our exclusive Discord community by getting our ebook through the pinned comment link. I'm sure it will be a valuable resource for you. It will not only bring clarity about your mission and unique gifts but also give you access to connect with other chosen ones who will welcome and support you. Don't miss out on this opportunity. This is a crucial moment, and together we can impact many lives. Choose to be part of this mission. A heartfelt thank you to everyone supporting us on Buy Me a Coffee. Your support helps us improve our videos daily and deliver the best content consistently. If you'd like to support us as well, the link is also in the pinned comment below. If you want to delve even deeper into the secrets that make you so special, don't miss the video suggested on screen or our playlist of Chosen One's secrets. Each episode was created to guide you deeper into your essence, revealing the full power and potential that reside within you. Thank you for accompanying me this far. Stay strong on your journey, remain focused and determined. gratitude, and see you in the next video.